there's a synthesis. And it's just like, there's not much I can do about it. And so that's sort of my thought is, hopefully, I want good stuff to be taught in schools, and often these textbooks are, I mean, I trust Ken Miller on evolution, who writes one of the most popular textbooks. He knows his stuff well, and he writes a good textbook. And so I trust his textbook. And so as it stands, if they have online materials, work great. I know they like online materials, but I don't know much about how these materials work online, whether they're good or not.
Back to you.
I thought one of the most important things that you mentioned was actually the economic benefit of doing science. Does your business community at all understand the risk to them from an economic development side for this conversation?
So this is about whether the business community is involved, and unfortunately, Louisiana, not enough. What is involved, though, is the tourism groups, and Louisiana has been boycotted over this law. We lost $3 million off one convention, who just straight out pulled. They had scheduled a convention, the Society for Integrated Comparative Biology. They scheduled a convention. This law passed, and they pulled straight out and said, we're not going to the state. I convinced them to come back, put themselves back in the running, or put Louisiana back in the running, New Orleans specifically, because New Orleans has voted to ban creationism from their schools, and because the New Orleans City Council has firmly endorsed repealing the Louisiana Science Education Act. It went on, they explained, one of their council members called the law from the backwoods. And New Orleans is quite upset with this law. But and the problem with tourism being upset is it overwhelmingly hurts New Orleans, and some of these politicians from elsewhere in the state don't care very much about New Orleans, and will be happy to beat up on the city. And so you get people like Senator Ben Nevers, who I've mentioned a few times, had made the statement when this convention pulled out. Well, if they don't like our science, we don't want them here. So that's sort of the attitude. We've got all the science organizations don't want to come to New Orleans anymore. The scientists don't want to come. We've had professors leave LSU and not come to LSU specifically because they didn't want, one of them left the state because their daughter was getting ready to go into school, and they said, well, we don't want to live in a state where there's a risk that my daughter will be miseducated, and so they picked up and left. It's just, so there's real, there is direct harm, not just on the fact that we're not doing science in Louisiana, but people are not coming to our state anymore because they don't want to be in an anti-science state, and it's actually problematic. But again, some of these people, if they don't like our science, we don't want them, is the attitude about this.
You mentioned how the Discovery Institute makes it look like they're endorsing theistic evolution. But if you actually read what they write, they say, oh, theistic evolution, that God allowed evolution to happen. Those people haven't thought it through like we have. They just haven't thought through the implications of Darwinism, and so they really not. And that's something I think that religious people need to learn about the Discovery Institute is basically the Discovery Institute wants to decide what kind of God is out there for everybody to believe in. And I don't like that a little bit.
I had fun. I'm not sure if it was a mistake or not, but I agreed to debate Casey Luskin of the Discovery Institute relatively recently, and so I was on the Michael Medved show with him, and they were completely disingenuous, like they always are. But I had the fun experience where they're very upset about Bobby Jindal's statement about this being a creationism law, that he told that he went on national TV and called it a creationism law, and I made them call Bobby Jindal confused, and got the opportunity to explain. I don't think Bobby Jindal's confused. I think he's a very smart man. I think he knows exactly what his law says. So I got the chance to make them quite upset about that. So upset that David Klinghoffer went to be the next day. So that's where we are now with them.
Have you debated the same guy?
Not Luskin, but I've drawn him in a cartoon.
I don't know a better word for it, Dave. Would you agree? Luskin's a twit. I mean, he's really wrong. There's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So I think that
Twit.
Twit Olympics from one lifetime. Yeah.
So here's the fascinating thing about these laws also. They all have this disclaimer that says this is not meant to promote for or against religion or non-religion. And this was based on a disclaimer on Louisiana's first creationism law, which said creation science is science, not religion, and it's not meant for religion. Of course, that got thrown out as ridiculous, and we expect this one this new disclaimer is just as ridiculous. They like to bring it up. The fascinating thing is Luskin wrote a law review article about 2007 where he made this point that if you call intelligent design religion, then this law mandates intelligent design should be in the classroom because you can't discriminate against religion and not teaching intelligent design would be discriminating against religion. So they want to have their cake and eat it, which is, it's science, so you have to put in the science as critical thing, but it's also religion. You can't discriminate against religion. You can't not have it. You can't kick it out from any religion. So it's it's an interesting dynamic that they want to play with this.
These guys spokespeople.
Yeah, attack maps is another one I hear a lot about it. But Klinghoffer's more, I don't know, they took one clip about, I was telling you, when I was 13, I was like, I went to Connecticut, and I went to Connecticut every year for my family, and I went to camp, and kids would be like, you're from Louisiana, like, oh, are you stupid? So I started introducing myself as I'm Zack from Louisiana, but I'm not stupid. So I've told the story about how basically I've learned to love my state over time, and like really come to love for being unique and fight against what's bad, but love what's good. And they took that one line from when I was a 13-year-old kid, telling the story of how I learned to disavow this line. And it was not me saying it, it was about the perception of my state from outsiders. And took it and used it to say I called everyone in Louisiana stupid. And that was the article I published the next day. So that's about the level of discourse from the opposition. Any other questions?
Well, Zack, it's clear to me that the age of enlightenment is under threat,
Yeah.
and you are leading the counter-revolution, so keep it going.
Thank you all so much.
All right. Can I make one real quick announcement? Are we about to break up there?